The American dream is a really good marketing strategy. It's centered around the idea that everyone has equal opportunity to rise to financial success in this country through hard work. So then when we see Black people at a lower socioeconomic status, the assumption is, well, they just must not be working hard enough. But that's not true. What the American dream doesn't show are the systemic barriers that aim to keep Black people from rising to financial success in greater numbers that have nothing to do with how hard they work. One of the most significant barriers is the access to the resources necessary to start, grow, and sustain a business as a means of having ownership and building wealth. Black entrepreneurs have long played a crucial role in America's economic success. For instance, Garrett Morgan, who invented the 3-light traffic light, and Lewis Latimer, who invented the carbon filament for the light bulb. Also Mark Dean, who co-invented the IBM PC monitor and gigahertz chip, and Marie Van Britten Brown, who invented the first home security system. However, many times, Black people's economic pursuits were prevented by racism, like in the case of Black Wall Street. It was a community of over 30 streets of Black-owned businesses in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that was burned down in 1921 by racist segregationist rioters. Now, the next generation of Black-owned businesses are on the rise. Black millennials and Gen Z are starting businesses younger and growing them larger. Many start by finding ways to monetize their interest and skills. I started SBD Digital Media while in college by doing videography for student clubs on campus. Now I'm pursuing it full-time after graduating. New York is a breeding ground for Black entrepreneurs, with the greatest number of Black-owned businesses in the country.
I was always into creative things when high school. Fashion was one thing that's, is a very big thing in New York, of course. When I seen how people react when I used to wear a lot of things in high school, I was like, oh, maybe I should start creating things. Today we dropping new pants, new jackets, new sweaters. Hopefully people see what I create and be inspired. I'm actually grateful and happy that I'm doing it with a family member of mine, because he's not only just a business partner, he's also a family member. Sometimes we hit a wall, but we always overcome it. Growing this business together since we was in high school, and then going through college, and then graduating after college, and still doing it with the same people that's around us is very fulfilling.
Between 2012 and 2018, Black business owners' total annual revenue grew by 23%. That's twice as fast as overall businesses in the United States.
One of my main goals is to bring natural, healthy skincare products to everybody, because what is currently available is a lot of harsh chemicals that is bringing harm to the body internally and externally. So I want to be a solution. I got burnt on my face, and I was in search for a natural solution to help bring back my face to its normal self. And after that, I wanted to share the natural ingredients and formulas that I have found to help me so well with other people.
Since 1997, the number of businesses owned by African American women grew 322%, making Black females the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in the United States.
For me to have a Black-owned business as a woman, it means a lot, because I'm all about women empowerment. I'm all about the Black dollar. I'm all about it. I started my business 2 years after I graduated with my undergrad. I had the idea, and then I basically set a date. I started to work on it, do research on it. I went to the fashion district. I got a chance to meet with those of the vendors that were open. I got a chance to touch material, interact with them, purchase some stuff. And it was at that point in time that I was like, this is what I really want to do. I need to get it started.
Why does entrepreneurship matter in the first place? It's actually the backbone of the American economy, through innovation, job creation, and money circulation. Owning a business plays an important role in building wealth in families and communities. The earlier you start, the more time you have to learn and make an impact.
The benefits of starting a business early is that you have more of an opportunity, you could take more risk, and you have more leverage. You could definitely make mistakes and still have enough time to correct those mistakes and move forward.
Wealth is defined by your assets minus your debt. Owning a business is a financial asset because it generates money. Having ownership means that you have control over the values, employees, and distribution of that business. So when businesses choose not to respect your culture, you have other options on where to spend your money.
We start a lot of the trends that is already happening. You see big brands, they take our trends and they use it in their own way. With our brand being Black owned, we want to take the trends that we do start and create it and drop it through our brand. We have a lot of Black history inspirational quotes because we was inspired around this time to create the brand.
Entrepreneurship is a risk, and businesses of every background face hardships. In fact, almost half of all businesses fail within the first 5 years. Yet, some are thriving a lot more than others. According to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, all other races have higher revenues than Black-owned businesses. That disparity hurts everyone because buying Black benefits our entire economy. If existing Black-owned businesses reach the same average revenue as their white-owned industry counterparts, the result would be an estimated $200 billion in revenues and 9 million in additional jobs that would boost our national income. So how do we make that a reality? We need more Black-owned businesses to spend money with. In particular, more in need-based industries and more with larger revenues. In order to grow larger, you need employees. Out of the 2 million Black-owned businesses in America, currently 4% have employees, meaning that the overwhelming majority are solo entrepreneurs. That's great when you're just getting started, but if your goal is to grow, then you need the ability to hire.
As a solo entrepreneur, it means that I am involved in every part of the company, from building the products, to labeling the products, to packaging orders and shipping them. It is beneficial being in each of those parts because you get to record the process to then eventually teach the process to others, where you hire to replace all of that hands-on work to move into a more CEO position, which will help the company then further grow and expand and reach more customers and fill more needs.
It takes money and resources to hire effectively. Without the same amount of access to either of those, Black entrepreneurs have not been able to grow as large and therefore access as many customers. So then what would help more young Black people start, sustain, and grow more businesses? Increase access to capital, information, and mentorship. Let's start with capital. Capital is another way of saying money. Access to money is arguably the most important ingredient to successful business growth because you usually have to make some sort of financial investment to start and then continue to invest in it to grow. What barriers keep Black people from being able to invest more money into their businesses? To understand that, you have to understand the racial wealth gap. When the Emancipation Proclamation was issued in 1863, about 4 million enslaved Africans had just done involuntary physical labor to build America for around 250 years. That was about 17 generations of labor, completely for free.
I wake up every morning in a house that was built by slaves.
According to many historians like Sean Rochester, their combined labor was worth up to about $50 trillion. That's what allowed America to go from a handful of small colonies to a massively wealthy country that produced the most valuable commodity in the world, cotton. Except none of that wealth went to the Black people who worked for it.
I built the railroads under someone else's whip for nothing. For nothing.
After the Civil War, President Lincoln signed a bill declaring that each formerly enslaved African family would receive 40 acres of land and a mule as reparations for their centuries of free labor. But even though slavery ended, racism didn't. So after President Lincoln was assassinated, his successor, Andrew Johnson, did not issue the reparations and allowed the white Southerners who had just committed treason in the Civil War to keep all of their land. 40 acres didn't come close to equating to the worth of the labor enslaved Africans had done. But now, they were starting their free life with zero, and thus accelerated the racial wealth gap. This happened about 150 years ago. How is it affecting Black people and businesses today? Well, that's because wealth is generational. It just naturally grows over time with compound interest. So in 2016, the net worth of the average Black family was $17,000, while for the average white family, it was $171,000. That's almost 10 times higher. As a result, when young Black entrepreneurs are starting businesses, they're less likely to have the family capital handed down to them. This is especially important since about 70% of Black entrepreneurs rely on personal and family savings for financing.
Some of the first steps that I took to start my company was securing proper funding, whether it was work and fund the company or pull from my saving or asking family and friends for financial assistance to get started.
We are fully self-funded. We started off small and we gauged ourselves up. You see the cost of things and you see how much you could profit and how you could reinvest the profits into creating more.
Plus, the wealth gap hurts our entire economy. It's projected to cost the economy $1 trillion annually by 2028. So how can we fix this? Closing the racial wealth gap requires the redistribution of wealth, which includes issuing capital to Black people. One way to issue capital is through reparations. The US government neglected their debt to Black people in 1865, but they still owe, and it's not too late. Issuing reparations today to descendants of enslaved Africans in the form of capital would make a tremendous impact on closing the gap and creating an economic equity that is long overdue.
Now more than ever, the facts and circumstances facing our nation demonstrate the importance of H.R. 40 and the necessity of placing our nation on the path to reparative justice.
Other nations around the world have already started issuing reparations, and more would follow America's lead.
More than 5,000 elderly Kenyans are to share a payout from the British government worth almost £20 million.
Murakami is one of thousands of people who received reparations from the US government decades after being forced into an internment camp during World War II.
A second way to issue capital is through business grants. Grants are money given to businesses by the government or a corporation that does not need to be paid back. It's theirs to keep.
It does take research. So I'm in the middle of research because to me, if it's free, it is for me. Because if anybody knows, starting a business, it ain't cheap.
Currently, very little grants are given to Black-owned businesses. For instance, during the 2020 health pandemic, relief grants given by New York State reached only 20% of eligible Black-owned firms, even though the pandemic hit Black-owned businesses the hardest.
Information about grants is not readily available to many Black entrepreneurs, and in 2020 I applied for my first grant from Facebook and I was awarded it, and that gave me the opportunity to navigate the pandemic and help my company to stay above water.
Distributing grants more fairly requires grant suppliers to be intentional about spreading information to eligible Black entrepreneurs and creating grants that are specifically for young Black-owned businesses. A third way to issue capital is by spending your money with Black-owned businesses.
I find that it's really important for us as Black people to create our own streams of income, to really keep that dollar within our realm, within our circle, to continue to build up our communities.
Where you spend your money is like an investment in which businesses you think should thrive and which should fail. It's literally called your buying power.
You're impacting more than just the individual. It is the community and everybody that is connected to that is benefiting from this.
When you spend money with Black-owned businesses, you are using your buying power to show that you see the value of their products and services and believe that they should grow at the same rates as any other business.
It just takes one. So as one will do it, another one will do it, another one will do it. And we'll each help each other until we'll finally get to that final destination of having everything that we need within our own community.
It's important in order to help provide opportunity for legacies and generations to come to have some foundation to stand on.
The second necessary resource is increased access to information. For young Black entrepreneurs, the internet has opened up a vast world of access to information and education at a low cost. Millennials were coming of age during the internet explosion, and Gen Z has never known a life without the internet. Many can run their businesses almost entirely online, using their websites and social media platforms.
We do have a lot of tools around us. Instagram is a great tool, and it depends on how you use it. Find somebody in your industry. These people, they update their stories, they post a lot. Tap into that and just see what they're talking about. And from that, you'll get to learn, because a lot of those people drop gems. Take notes. Always be ready to ask a question, to learn from somebody, because you may not know who you can learn a lesson from.
This reduces an entrepreneur's barrier to enter the market by changing who has control over giving out business knowledge and accessing customers.
Social media is the access to the world. So if you have something to create, the perfect place is to drop it on social media, online, and on a website. See how you can use it to market or help your business in any shape or form.
YouTube University, I'm still enrolled. I graduated 20, 40 billion times, and I'm about to re-enroll for next semester. So YouTube University is it.
Web domains and social media handles are like internet real estate, and they reduce the need for a physical brick and mortar location when first starting out.
Being a primarily e-commerce business and having access to social media have been a great opportunity because it allowed me to reach customers directly and speak with them through DMs or answer any questions or concerns they may have on comments on their posts. They make orders online, on the website. It's just an opportunity to connect with leads and prospects without having to go physical.
So information gets you started, but how do you tailor it to apply to your specific business? And who do you ask for help when you inevitably run into problems? That's why the third necessary resource is mentorship. Research on New York-based startups shows that founders who are mentored by top-performing entrepreneurs are 3 times more likely to become top performers than their peers without mentors. Young Asian and white entrepreneurs are more likely to have a family member or friend with business success who can train them and pass on critical business knowledge. On the other hand, many young Black entrepreneurs are figuring out this whole business thing on their own, or with the help of family and friends who usually have about the same amount of business experience as they do. Despite this, they're determined to succeed.
So far, we've had experts help us in terms of like legal stuff, of course, like sign up the business, LLC, but our friends have been the most great support that we have in terms of running the business. People out there are helping us out, hanging up the clothes while the other half, are running out, grabbing more materials. They make our life a little easier and we appreciate them a lot.
Even if you do have a mentor or you have somebody who you look up to or you communicate with for business advice, you still have that aspect of learning on your own.
It's all through trial and error, but anything that is learned during that process is shared, by me to my friends or on social media. So it's just sharing the knowledge and the experience that is acquired over time to help everyone grow as well.
They shouldn't have to figure it out on their own forever. There should be more equitable access to mentorship and training resources for the Black community. Mentorship programs need to increase their accessibility by recruiting more Black mentors, offering scholarships, and starting in the schools so that it can be offered at an earlier age. Ownership gives you the power of telling your own story and shaping the world how you want it to look. The future of business is more inclusive and diverse, and this benefits everyone. Access to building wealth is Black people's right just as much as anyone else. They just need the barriers in front of them broken down so that they can start, sustain, and grow businesses at the same levels. The next generation of Black entrepreneurs have big plans for where they want to take their businesses.
In the future, for my business, I would love to be able to do styling, to making, to manufacturing, to distributing. So everything from top to bottom could have my personal touch on it.
By their unprecedented access to information in order to solve problems, connect with one another, share resources, and improve the world around them.
I hope to take Natural Beauty Express to a place where I'm able to hire more people within a factory setting where I'm producing more products and it's available on more shelves in a lot of stores, expanding online as well, and just providing opportunity in the form of jobs, scholarships, or internships, or whatever I can do to give back to the community.
They stand on the shoulders of their ancestors, creating the financial success that many of them have been denied.
And seeing how we are growing this business, I hope that somebody who is watching and seeing that, okay, he started from here and now he's here with it. Hopefully they're also inspired to start their own. Advice I'll say is, take your time and perfect the craft. We started in 2011, it's 2021. We're probably starting getting the most attraction within the past 2 years.
They are learning and taking action now to be able to pass on these tools and knowledge for generations.
If something is on your heart, definitely do your research and just get it started. You're not gonna learn everything in the beginning. You're not gonna know it all. It's okay to not know and take that step, because if you don't take the step, how are you gonna know what's on the next side?
Once we put our mind to it, we'll be able to acquire the necessary information and experience and knowledge that is needed to succeed.
Young Black people should ask themselves, how can you partner with other Black business-minded people to pool your capital and resources to build larger businesses and make a bigger impact? Non-Black people should ask themselves, when it comes to increasing access to capital, information, and mentorship for Black businesses, where are you able to make a difference? How can you be a part of the solution? Buying Black benefits the entire economy. When one of us rises, we all rise. And young Black-owned businesses, we got next.